A morning like no other. Sarah entered the bustling diner, her heart already swelling with warmth at the familiar scene before her. The clinking of plates, the sizzle of bacon on the grill, and the rich aroma of fresh coffee enveloped her like a cozy blanket. As she tied her apron, she felt a flutter of excitement. It was just another day of serving her community, but each morning felt like a new beginning. "Good morning, everybody," she called out cheerfully, her voice cutting through the morning chatter. A chorus of greetings echoed back, and Sarah couldn't help but smile. This diner was more than just her job. It was her sanctuary. The regulars, with their quirks and stories, had become family over the years. Her first stop was the counter, where Mr. Johnson, a retired teacher with a penchant for crossword puzzles, sat every morning. "The usual?" she asked, reaching for the coffee pot. "You know me too well, Sarah," he replied, his wrinkled face lighting up. "How's that boy of yours?" "Growing like a weed. He's got a big science project coming up," she said, pouring his coffee just the way he liked it, extra hot. As she served him, she noticed Mrs. Peterson, a newcomer to town, sitting alone in the corner booth. The elderly woman's shoulders slumped, and her eyes were downcast. With a gentle heart, Sarah approached her table. "Good morning, Mrs. Peterson. How are you today?" she asked softly. "Oh, hello, dear. I'm all right, I suppose," Mrs. Peterson replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Sarah's heart ached at the sadness etched on the woman's face. "How about we brighten up your day with some of our famous blueberry pancakes? They always put a smile on mine," she suggested. For the first time since she'd started coming to the diner, Mrs. Peterson's lips curved into a small smile. "That sounds lovely, dear. Thank you." As Sarah bustled around the diner, taking orders and delivering plates piled high with comfort food, she felt a profound sense of purpose. Every smile she coaxed from a customer, every kind word she shared, was a small victory. This wasn't just a job, it was her calling. Her eyes lit up when she spotted Jack wheeling through the diner's entrance. His weathered face wore a familiar, stern expression, but Sarah had learned to look beyond that exterior. "Good morning, Jack," she called out, her voice filled with warmth. "Your usual spot's all ready for you." Jack nodded, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. "Morning, Sarah." His voice was gruff, but she knew him well enough to sense the gratitude beneath. As he maneuvered his wheelchair to his favorite corner table, Sarah grabbed a menu and a fresh pot of coffee. "How are you doing today?" she asked, pouring him a steaming cup of black coffee. "Same as always, I suppose," Jack replied, his eyes fixed on the menu he didn't really need. "Well, I'm glad you're here," she said softly. "It wouldn't be a proper morning without seeing you." For a moment, Jack's guard seemed to lower. He looked up, his eyes softening just a fraction. "Thanks, Sarah. That's nice of you to say." She beamed at him, feeling the warmth of connection in the air. "Now let me guess, scrambled eggs, wheat toast, and a side of bacon." He chuckled lightly, amusement flickering in his eyes. "You've got me all figured out, don't you?" "I try my best," she replied with a wink. "I'll have that right out for you." As she turned to put in his order, Sarah felt a surge of affection for Jack. He was a man of few words, but she could tell he looked forward to their morning visits. There was something in the way his shoulders relaxed as he sipped his coffee, how his eyes seemed a little less troubled when he was here. Throughout the morning, Sarah checked on Jack regularly, topping up his coffee and sharing small talk about the weather. She even managed to coax a chuckle out of him with a silly joke her son had told her. "Why did the Scarecrow win an award?" she asked, grinning. "Why?" Jack replied, intrigued. "Because he was outstanding in his field." Jack's laugh, rich and genuine, warmed Sarah's heart. She cherished these moments. They made the long hours worthwhile. As the diner buzzed with life, Sarah found herself drawn back to the thought of her son, James. He was the reason she worked so hard, the reason she pushed through each day with a smile. She wanted to provide him with a better life, filled with opportunities she never had. Every penny she earned went toward his education, his dreams. The hours rolled by, and Sarah moved gracefully from table to table, her energy unwavering. Yet as she delivered plates of pancakes and cups of coffee, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. Around lunchtime, as the diner filled with more patrons, Jack's presence remained a comforting constant in her day. He finished his meal and gestured for Sarah to come over. "Hey, Sarah," he said, his tone serious. "Yes, Jack," she replied, curious. "I've been meaning to talk to you," he began, his eyes searching hers. "You've been a bright spot in my life. I appreciate everything you do for me and for everyone here." She felt a warmth spread through her, touched by his words. "It's my pleasure, really. You all mean so much to me." He hesitated, then reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a set of keys. They jangled softly as he placed them on the table between them. "I want you to have these," he said, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. Sarah's brow furrowed in confusion. "Keys? To what?" He sighed, a weight settling on his shoulders. "To my old place. It's been empty since I moved to the assisted living center. I think it could help you. It could be the start of something new." Her heart raced as she took the keys in her palm, feeling the cool metal against her skin. "Jack, I can't accept this. It's your home." "Not anymore. I see how hard you work and how much you care. You deserve a chance to fulfill your dreams. I'm not sure how much longer I'll be around, and I want to make sure you have the opportunity." Sarah felt tears prick at her eyes. His gesture was both shocking and profoundly moving. I don't know what to say." "Just think about it," he said, a small smile on his face. "And there's something else." He slid a folded note across the table. "Open it when you get home." As she took the note, she felt a surge of emotion. "Thank you, Jack. This means the world to me." "Just keep being you, Sarah," he replied, his voice gentle yet firm. "You have a light in you that deserves to shine." With a heart full of gratitude and hope, Sarah watched as Jack wheeled away, leaving her with the keys and the note that would soon lead her down a path she had only dared to dream of. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of an incredible journey that would change her life forever. The note unfolds. That evening, Sarah returned home with the weight of the day's events resting heavily on her shoulders. The familiar sounds of her small apartment greeted her, the soft hum of the refrigerator, the distant chatter of her neighbors, and the comforting presence of her son, James, playing in his room. He was her everything, and the thought of providing him with a better life filled her heart with both hope and trepidation. After settling in, Sarah sat at the kitchen table, the keys and the folded note from Jack lying in front of her like two mysteries waiting to be unraveled. She took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she unfolded the note. "Dear Sarah," it began, the handwriting slightly shaky but warm. "If you're reading this, it means you've accepted my gift. You've brought joy to so many, including me. You deserve to have your dreams come true, and I hope this helps you take the first step toward that." Sarah's heart raced as she read on. "I know you've always wanted to start your own business. The diner is lovely, but I see how passionate you are about baking and cooking. My old place has a small kitchen that might be just what you need. Consider it a chance to create something beautiful, not just for yourself but for your son." Tears brimmed in her eyes as she absorbed Jack's words. He had seen her, really seen her, in a way that few had. The thought of owning a space where she could bake and cook, where she could turn her passion into something tangible, felt both exhilarating and terrifying. She had often daydreamed about starting her own bakery, a cozy place filled with the scent of fresh bread and pastries, where families gathered and children laughed. The note continued, "I believe in you, Sarah. You have the heart of a warrior. Life has thrown challenges your way, but you've faced them with grace and strength. This is your chance to show the world what you can do. Follow your dreams, and I'll be cheering you on from afar." As she finished reading, a mix of emotions flooded through her. Jack's belief in her felt like a lifeline, a spark of encouragement that ignited a fire within her. But doubt also crept in. Could she really do this? Could she take the leap and pursue her passion? She had responsibilities, bills to pay, and her son's future to consider. Taking a moment to collect herself, she wiped away the tears and looked at the keys resting on the table. They felt heavy yet promising in her palm. Perhaps Jack was right. Perhaps this was the sign she needed to stop merely dreaming and start doing. After tucking the note away, Sarah joined James in his room. He was sprawled on the floor, surrounded by colored papers and markers, diligently working on his science project. His little brow furrowed in concentration, and Sarah couldn't help but smile at his determination. "What are you working on, buddy?" she asked, settling down beside him. "I'm making a volcano," James exclaimed, his eyes lighting up with excitement. "It's going to erupt with baking soda and vinegar. Can you help me?" "Of course. But first, how about we take a little break and have some pancakes?" His face lit up at the mention of his favorite food. "With blueberries?" "Absolutely." Sarah laughed, rising to her feet. As she walked to the kitchen, the thought of a future where she could make pancakes every day, her own pancakes in her own bakery, filled her with warmth. Later that evening, as they enjoyed their pancakes, James looked up at her, curiosity sparkling in his eyes. "Mom, do you think I can be anything I want when I grow up?" "Of course, sweetheart. You can be anything you set your mind to," Sarah assured him, her heart swelling with pride. "Just like I'm trying to be brave and follow my dreams." "Can I help you with your dreams?" James asked, tilting his head earnestly. "Absolutely. You can help me bake," she replied, ruffling his hair playfully. "We can create delicious treats together." After their meal, Sarah tucked James into bed, reading him a story about adventure and bravery. As she kissed him goodnight, she felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her. Jack's gift had opened a door to possibilities she had never dared to explore. In the quiet of the night, Sarah lay in bed, the note and keys still weighing on her mind. She thought about the diner, the community she loved, and the relationships she had built over the years. Yet, a part of her felt stifled, trapped in a routine that didn't allow her to explore her true passions. What if she could take a risk? What if she could combine her love for baking with her desire to serve her community in a new way? The thought excited her, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. The following morning, she rose with determination coursing through her veins. After dropping James off at school, she decided to visit Jack's old place. The anticipation of what she might find there thrilled her. As she drove through the familiar streets, she recalled the time she had passed Jack's house, always wondering what lay behind its closed doors. When she arrived, the little house stood proudly at the end of the street, its weathered exterior charming in its simplicity. The front yard was overgrown with wildflowers, and the porch had a welcoming feel, as if it had been waiting for her all along. Sarah parked and stepped out, the keys feeling heavy in her pocket. Taking a deep breath, she approached the front door. It creaked open, revealing a cozy space filled with memories. Dust motes danced in the sunlight streaming through the windows, and the scent of aged wood wrapped around her like a gentle embrace. She explored the house, taking in the quaint living room adorned with old photographs and a kitchen that had clearly seen many meals and gatherings. A warm nostalgia enveloped her as she imagined filling this space with laughter, love, and the sweet aroma of baked goods. In the kitchen, she opened the cupboards, revealing old pots and pans, some worn but full of character. The sight of the spacious counter sparked ideas in her mind. Cupcakes, cookies, pastries, and everything in between. Her heart raced at the thought of what she could create in this very space. As she continued to explore, she stumbled upon a small pantry tucked away in the corner. Inside, she found a few jars filled with spices, some baking supplies, and a handwritten recipe book. Flipping through its pages, she discovered old family recipes that spoke of love and tradition, each one telling a story of joy and togetherness. Her heart swelled at the thought of bringing this kitchen back to life. With each recipe she read, her mind filled with visions of customers savoring her treats, families gathering, and laughter filling the air. This was it. This was her chance to create something meaningful. Feeling a newfound energy coursing through her, Sarah realized that this wasn't just about her dreams anymore. It was about her son, too. She wanted to show him the power of following one's passion and the beauty of hard work. As she stepped outside to take a breath of fresh air, she knew she couldn't do this alone. It would take time, effort, and a lot of planning. But with Jack's belief in her and the keys to this new beginning, she felt ready to embark on this journey. With determination in her heart, she decided it was time to return to the diner and share her dreams with Jack, the man who had opened this door for her. Little did she know, her life was about to take a turn she had never imagined, filled with challenges and triumphs that would test her spirit in ways she could never foresee. Dreams and doubts. The next morning, Sarah awoke with an exhilarating mix of excitement and anxiety. The sunlight filtered through her curtains, illuminating her small kitchen, and the lingering scent of pancakes from the day before. Today, she would share her dreams with Jack, her plans for the future that had suddenly become tangible thanks to his unexpected gift. After a quick breakfast with James, she dropped him off at school and made her way to the diner, her heart racing with anticipation. The familiar sight of the diner brought a wave of comfort, yet the thought of revealing her aspirations to Jack filled her with nervous energy. As she stepped inside, the warm aroma of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon greeted her. The chatter of regulars and the clatter of dishes created a lively backdrop, but Sarah's focus was solely on finding Jack. He was usually there early, enjoying his morning coffee in his favorite corner. When she spotted him, seated with a newspaper spread out in front of him, her heart leaped. "Good morning, Jack," she called, her voice bright and welcoming. "Morning, Sarah," he replied, looking up with a smile that reached his eyes. "You're in good spirits today. What's got you so chipper?" She took a seat across from him, unable to contain her excitement. "I went to your old house yesterday," she said, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. "And I found the kitchen. It's perfect for what I want to do." Jack's brow raised, intrigued. "What do you mean?" "I want to start a bakery, Jack. I've always dreamed of it, but I never thought I could make it happen. But now," she paused, clutching the keys in her hand, "now I feel like I have a real chance. Your note, the keys, everything you said just inspired me." Jack leaned back in his chair, his expression shifting from curiosity to pride. "That's fantastic, Sarah. I knew you had it in you. But tell me, what's your plan?" Sarah took a deep breath, outlining her vision. "I want to create a place where people can come together, share stories, and enjoy homemade treats. I envision baking fresh bread, pastries, and cakes every day. A cozy atmosphere, maybe even hosting small events. It could become a hub for the community." Jack nodded, his eyes sparkling with approval. "That sounds like a beautiful dream. But how do you plan to get started?" That was the question, wasn't it? Sarah's enthusiasm was tinged with the reality of her circumstances. "I'll need to figure out how to fund it, get the necessary permits, and of course, find customers. It's a lot, but I'm willing to put in the work. I hope it's enough." "Of course it is. But you'll need support. Have you thought about how to bring the community into this? People love to rally around a cause, especially one that involves food," Jack encouraged. His words sparked an idea in her mind. "I could host tastings. I could invite people in for free samples and ask for feedback. That way, they could help shape what the bakery becomes. It's not just about me. It's about creating something we can all enjoy together." "Now you're thinking," Jack said, a grin spreading across his face. "Use your strengths. You're already beloved in this community. Tap into that connection." Feeling more confident, Sarah spent the rest of the morning serving customers, her mind racing with ideas. She couldn't wait to start planning her bakery's future, but the nagging doubts began to creep in again. What if no one showed up? What if she failed? After her shift, she returned home, determined to begin sketching out her ideas. As she sat at the kitchen table, the warmth of her home wrapped around her. She pulled out a notepad and pen. Business name ideas. Sarah's Sweet Spot. Community Bakery. Home Bake Haven. She jotted down a list of potential names, her handwriting growing bolder with each suggestion. Next came her vision for the menu. What treats would she offer? Cookies, cakes, artisan bread, perhaps even savory pastries. With each idea, her confidence grew, and soon the page was filled with her dreams. But as she looked over her notes, a wave of anxiety washed over her. What about the costs? The permits? The risks? That night, as she tucked James into bed, he looked up at her with wide, trusting eyes. "Mom, are you really going to have a bakery?" She smiled down at him, her heart swelling. "Yes, I am. I'm going to make delicious treats that you can help me with." "Can I be the taste tester?" he asked, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "Absolutely. You'll be my best customer," she replied, laughter bubbling between them. But as she turned off the lights and crept out of his room, doubts clouded her mind again. What if she didn't succeed? What if it all fell apart? The next day at the diner, she shared her plans with some of her closest regulars, people who had come to know her well over the years. Mrs. Peterson, who had become a friend, listened intently as Sarah explained her vision. "That sounds wonderful, dear," Mrs. Peterson exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "You've always had a gift for baking. I remember those muffins you made for the charity bake sale. Everyone loved them." "Thank you, Mrs. Peterson. I just hope I can make it work," Sarah said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "Don't you worry about a thing. You'll find a way. We'll all be here to support you. Just let us know how we can help," she replied, reaching out to squeeze Sarah's hand. Buoyed by the support of her regulars, Sarah felt a spark of hope ignite again. Maybe this community truly would rally around her. Maybe she wasn't alone in this after all. As the days passed, she began to outline her plans more concretely. She visited the local small business center, learning about permits and regulations. She researched baking supplies and equipment, making a list of what she would need. Each piece of information felt like a step forward, even if it was daunting. Then came the idea for her first tasting event. She planned it for the following Saturday, envisioning a cozy gathering filled with the scent of fresh-baked goods. She would offer samples of her creations, gather feedback, and hopefully build a following. As Saturday approached, Sarah's excitement grew, but so did her nerves. She baked late into the night, perfecting recipes and testing flavors. By the time the sun rose on the day of the event, she was exhausted but determined. Setting up her small space in the diner for the tasting, she arranged tables with colorful tablecloths and placed her baked goods on display. The moment of truth was upon her, and she could hardly contain her anxiety. When the first customers began to arrive, her heart raced. Would they like her treats? Would they see the passion she had poured into each one? As people sampled her goods, their faces lit up with delight. Laughter and chatter filled the air, and she felt a wave of warmth wash over her. Encouraged by their feedback, she began to feel the doubts dissipate, replaced by a glimmer of hope. By the end of the day, Sarah had gathered a collection of notes filled with suggestions and encouragement. People were genuinely excited about the idea of her bakery, and their words filled her heart with joy. "See, Sarah," Jack said, a proud smile on his face as he sipped his coffee. "You're already making waves." "Yes, but it's just the beginning. I still have so much to figure out," she replied, her heart full but her mind racing. "Just take it one step at a time," he advised gently. "You have the talent and the heart. The rest will follow." As the event came to a close, Sarah stood at the door, watching customers leave with smiles and bags of her baked goods. She felt a sense of accomplishment, but deep down, the fear of what lay ahead lingered. Little did she know, Her journey was only just beginning, filled with challenges and triumphs that would shape not just her dreams, but her life and those of everyone around her. The turning point. The week following Sarah's tasting event was a whirlwind of emotions. Each morning, she woke up with a renewed sense of purpose, fueled by the positive feedback she had received. Yet, as the days passed, the reality of her situation began to sink in. Turning her dreams into reality required more than just enthusiasm and great baking. It needed careful planning, financial resources, and unwavering determination. Sarah dove headfirst into research. She spent her mornings at the diner and her afternoons at the local library, poring over books on small business management, baking techniques, and financial planning. She also scoured online forums and community boards, connecting with other aspiring bakers and business owners who shared their stories and advice. With each piece of information she absorbed, Sarah felt a mixture of excitement and overwhelm. Starting a bakery wasn't just about baking, it was about marketing, inventory management, and customer service. She created spreadsheets, jotting down costs for ingredients, equipment, and marketing materials, attempting to devise a budget that wouldn't send her into debt. One afternoon, while sitting at a crowded table in the library, a fellow patron noticed her struggle. An older woman with silver hair and a kind smile approached her. "You look like you're working hard, dear. What's your dream?" Sarah looked up, surprised but grateful for the interruption. "I'm trying to start my own bakery," she replied, her heart swelling as she spoke the words out loud. "Ah, that's wonderful. There's nothing quite like the smell of fresh bread and pastries filling a room. Have you thought about applying for a small business grant?" The woman asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Grants? I hadn't considered that," Sarah said, intrigued. "Yes, many local organizations provide funding for aspiring small business owners, especially those who want to contribute to their communities. It could be just what you need to get started," she suggested. With a wave of gratitude, Sarah thanked the woman and immediately began searching for grant opportunities. That evening, she spent hours scouring the internet for local nonprofits and business organizations that offered grants. Her heart raced as she stumbled upon several promising options. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah meticulously filled out applications, detailing her vision for the bakery, her commitment to the community, and her plans for the future. The process was daunting, filled with questions and requirements that pushed her limits, but she was determined to succeed. During this time, Jack became her unwavering supporter. He checked in on her regularly, asking how the applications were going and offering encouragement. "You've got this, Sarah. Just remember, every great achievement starts with a leap of faith," he reminded her one morning. Yet, even with Jack's support, moments of doubt crept in. What if she didn't receive any funding? What if the bakery failed before it even started? On particularly difficult days, she would return home, exhausted and disheartened, feeling the weight of her ambitions pressing down on her. One evening, as she sat at the kitchen table with James, she felt the exhaustion settling in. He was busy working on his own project, gluing together cardboard and painting bright colors. He glanced up at her, concern written across his small face. "Mom, are you okay? You look sad." "I'm just a little tired, sweetheart," she replied, forcing a smile. "Are you still going to have your bakery?" he asked, his voice filled with innocence and hope. "Of course I am. I just have to work hard to make it happen," she said, ruffling his hair affectionately. "You believe in me, don't you?" "Yeah. And when it's open, I want to help. Can I be your assistant?" he asked, eyes shining with excitement. "Absolutely, you'll be my best assistant," she promised, her heart warming at his enthusiasm. With renewed determination, Sarah plunged back into her work. The next day, she had a breakthrough. She received an email confirming that she had been selected for an interview with a local business grant committee. They wanted to hear her ideas in person. Her heart raced as she read the email. This was it, her chance to pitch her bakery. She spent the following days preparing for the meeting, crafting a presentation that would showcase not only her baking skills, but also her vision for the bakery as a community hub. On the day of the interview, she donned her best dress and took a moment to look in the mirror. She needed to project confidence, even if she felt nervous inside. As she drove to the meeting, she practiced her pitch, going over each point in her mind. Upon arriving at the community center, she was greeted by a panel of 3 members, each one warm yet serious. They offered her a seat at the table, and Sarah took a deep breath, steadying herself as she began to present her ideas. "Thank you for having me. My name is Sarah, and I want to open a bakery that serves not only delicious food, but also creates a space for our community to come together," she started, her voice steadying with each word. She explained her vision, detailing her plans for the menu, her commitment to using local ingredients, and how she wanted to engage the community through baking classes and events. As she spoke, she could see their interest piqued, nodding along as she passionately conveyed her dreams. "Why do you believe this bakery will be successful?" one of the committee members asked, leaning forward. "Because I know my community. I've been serving them for years at the diner, and I understand their needs. People crave connection, especially after the difficult times we've all been through. I want to create a welcoming space where everyone feels at home," she replied, her conviction shining through. After what felt like hours of discussion, they concluded the meeting, thanking her for her presentation. As she left the building, a wave of relief washed over her. Regardless of the outcome, she had taken a significant step forward. A few days later, Sarah received another email that changed everything. She had been awarded a grant. The news left her breathless. All her hard work had paid off, and she could finally start transforming her dreams into reality. With the funding secured, she wasted no time diving into the next phase of her plan. She began searching for equipment, hiring contractors to renovate the kitchen, and creating a marketing strategy. It was exhilarating and exhausting, but the taste of success drove her forward. Jack watched her transformation with pride, offering advice and encouragement every step of the way. "You're going to be a success, Sarah. I can feel it in my bones," he said, a twinkle in his eye. As the renovations progressed, Sarah felt the excitement building within her. Each week brought new milestones, installing ovens, setting up display cases, and painting the walls a cheerful shade of yellow that she felt would brighten everyone's day. But just as she thought things were falling into place, she faced her first significant hurdle. During a routine inspection, a building inspector flagged several issues that needed to be addressed before she could open. The list of repairs was extensive, and the costs were mounting. Panic threatened to overwhelm her. "What am I going to do, Jack? I thought I was on track. And now this." She lamented one evening, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. "Take a deep breath, Sarah. You're a problem solver. Find a way through this, like you've done before," Jack encouraged her, his voice steady. With his words echoing in her mind, Sarah sat down to reevaluate her situation. She started to brainstorm solutions. Could she find local volunteers? Perhaps rally her regulars from the diner? As she reached out to her community, the response was overwhelming. Friends and customers offered to help with repairs, donate supplies, and lend their skills. The very people she had served for years were eager to support her in return. As the day of her grand opening approached, Sarah felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. The diner had always been her second home, but now, she realized, she was building a new one, a place where dreams could rise like fresh bread in the oven. With each passing day, she learned to embrace the chaos, to find beauty in the challenges. As she pulled together the final touches for her bakery, she could hardly believe how far she had come. All her fears, all her doubts, they were part of a journey that had led her here. And soon, she would stand in front of her community, ready to unveil the bakery she had fought so hard to create. The grand opening. The day of Sarah's grand opening dawned bright and clear, the sun casting a warm golden glow over the neighborhood. Excitement bubbled within her as she prepared to unveil her bakery to the community. It felt surreal that after months of hard work, planning, and overcoming obstacles, the moment had finally arrived. She arrived early at her newly renovated space, heart racing at the sight of the cheerful yellow walls, the gleaming display cases filled with her freshly baked goods, and the warm aroma of coffee brewing in the air. The tables were set with vibrant flowers, and the soft sound of music filled the room, creating an inviting atmosphere. As she put the finishing touches on her display, her thoughts drifted back to the journey that had brought her here. The doubts, the challenges, and the unwavering support from Jack and her community had all led to this moment. Sarah couldn't help but smile as she remembered the countless hours spent baking, experimenting with recipes, and the way her son had helped every step of the way. "Mom, can I wear the apron I made?" James asked, peeking through the door, his eyes wide with excitement. "Absolutely. You'll be my official taste tester today," Sarah replied, ruffling his hair affectionately. He rushed off to find his handmade apron, a colorful patchwork of fabric that he had been so proud of. As the opening time approached, Sarah felt a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. What if no one came? What if they didn't like her treats? But just as quickly as those thoughts emerged, she reminded herself of the support she had received. This bakery was not just hers. It belonged to the community that had rallied around her. At exactly 10 a.m., she opened the doors and welcomed the first guests. A few familiar faces from the diner, including Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Peterson, were the first in line, their smiles radiant with excitement. "Congratulations, Sarah," Mr. Johnson exclaimed, beaming with pride. "I can't wait to try everything." "Thank you. I hope you enjoy it," she replied, her heart swelling as she watched them eagerly explore the menu. As the hours passed, more and more customers poured in. Families, friends, and neighbors filled the cozy space, laughter and chatter creating a warm buzz. Sarah moved through the crowd, serving pastries, cookies, and coffee with a smile that never wavered. She felt like she was in a dream, her heart filled with joy as she witnessed her vision come to life. James darted around, helping serve samples and collecting feedback, his enthusiasm infectious. "Try this one. It's my mom's special recipe," he shouted, holding up a blueberry muffin that had quickly become a favorite. Customers responded with laughter and gratitude, many stopping to compliment Sarah on her creations. "This is amazing. I can't believe you made this all yourself," one woman exclaimed, taking a bite of a flaky croissant. As the day wore on, Sarah's initial nerves faded away, replaced by a profound sense of fulfillment. She realized that she was not just running a bakery. She was creating a community hub, a place where people could gather, connect, and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. Around noon, Sarah noticed Jack wheeling in, a proud smile plastered across his face. She rushed over, unable to contain her excitement. "Jack, you made it. Wouldn't miss it for the world," he replied, his eyes twinkling. "I can't wait to see what you've created. Have you tried anything yet?" she asked, eager for his opinion. "Not yet, but I'm sure it's all fantastic," he said, eyeing the display case filled with treats. "Let's see what you've got." Sarah led him to the counter, eagerly explaining her creations. "This is the signature cupcake, vanilla with raspberry filling, and these are chocolate chip cookies with a hint of sea salt." As Jack sampled her treats, his expression transformed into one of delight. "You've outdone yourself, Sarah. These are incredible." The day continued to unfold beautifully, with a steady stream of customers and cheerful conversations filling the air. People began sharing stories of their own lives, bonding over the shared experience of enjoying good food. Sarah felt a deep sense of connection with each person who walked through her doors. But as the afternoon wore on, she noticed something else. A few familiar faces from the diner had not shown up. The realization tugged at her heart. She wondered if she had truly reached everyone in the community. Around mid-afternoon, she took a moment to step outside for some fresh air. The sun warmed her skin as she leaned against the doorframe, allowing herself to take in the moment. Just then, she spotted a group of children playing on the sidewalk, giggling and chasing each other. "Hey, kids," Sarah called out, waving them over. "Do you want to come inside for a treat?" They looked at each other with wide eyes, then raced toward her. "Yes," they shouted in unison, excitement bubbling over. Once inside, she let them sample mini pastries and cookies. Their faces lit up with joy as they tasted her creations, and soon enough, the laughter of children filled the bakery, echoing the sense of community she had always envisioned. "Can we come back every day?" one little girl asked, her mouth full of cookie. "Of course. You're always welcome here," Sarah replied, her heart swelling at their enthusiasm. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the bakery, Sarah reflected on the day. It had been more than just an opening. It was a celebration of connection, love, and support from her community. As she closed up for the night, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The bakery had been born not just from her dreams, but from the collective dreams of everyone who had supported her along the way. The following days saw the bakery flourish, with customers returning and new faces discovering the warmth within. Sarah implemented a community favorites section on the menu, where she featured recipes inspired by her regular suggestions. It became a beloved feature, further strengthening the bond between her and the community. One evening, as Sarah cleaned up after a busy day, she received a visit from Jack. "You're doing great, Sarah. I couldn't be prouder," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "Thank you, Jack. I couldn't have done any of this without your support," she replied, her heart full. As they chatted, Jack shared stories of his own past, how he had once dreamed of being a writer, but had put those aspirations aside due to life's circumstances. Listening to him, Sarah felt a deeper connection to him. She realized they both shared a common thread, a longing to pursue dreams against all odds. "Maybe one day you could host a writing workshop here," Sarah suggested. "Invite people to share their stories." Jack's eyes lit up at the idea. "That's a fantastic notion. I would love that." The thought sparked a fire within Sarah. What if she created a series of community events, bringing people together through food, stories, and creativity? She envisioned evenings filled with laughter, storytelling, and culinary adventures. With renewed energy, she began planning a monthly event called Tales and Treats, where customers could share their stories while enjoying delicious pastries. She would provide a platform for anyone who wanted to tell their tale, fostering a sense of connection through shared experiences. As she prepared for the first Tales and Treats night, excitement bubbled within her. It was more than just an event. It was an opportunity to celebrate the rich tapestry of stories within her community. That evening, the bakery was filled with warmth as people gathered, eager to share and listen. Sarah watched as Jack took the stage, his eyes shining with passion as he recounted a story from his teaching days. Laughter echoed through the room, and Sarah felt a wave of pride wash over her. In that moment, she realized her bakery had become a place of dreams, not just for her but for everyone who entered. The sense of community and belonging filled her heart, reminding her that this was just the beginning of a beautiful journey. As the night came to a close, Sarah stood at the entrance, saying goodbye to her guests. She felt a profound sense of fulfillment as they left, each one carrying a piece of her dream with them. This bakery was more than just a business. It was a testament to the power of hope, support, and the unbreakable bonds of community. And as she locked the doors behind her, she knew that the journey ahead would be filled with more challenges and triumphs, but she was ready to embrace it all, one delicious step at a time. A new chapter. As the months rolled by, Sarah's bakery continued to thrive, becoming a beloved fixture in the community. Each day brought new faces and familiar smiles, filling her heart with warmth and purpose. Tales and Treats nights blossomed into a cherished tradition, drawing in neighbors and friends eager to share their stories, laugh, and bond over delicious pastries. With every event, Sarah felt the bakery evolving into more than just a place to buy baked goods. It was becoming a sanctuary for connection and creativity. She cherished the way her customers opened up, revealing their dreams, struggles, and triumphs. Each story added a new layer to the vibrant tapestry of her community, and Sarah found herself inspired by the resilience and spirit of those around her. One evening, after a particularly lively Tales and Treats night, Sarah sat down to reflect on how far she had come. The bakery was bustling with laughter, the aroma of freshly baked bread wafting through the air, and the atmosphere felt electric. Yet, amidst the joy, she felt a familiar flutter of uncertainty. While the bakery was thriving, her dreams stretched beyond its walls. She yearned to reach even more people, to inspire them through her food and the stories that intertwined with each recipe. But how? The thought nagged at her as she tidied up after the event. Just then, Jack wheeled over, a twinkle in his eye. "You look deep in thought, Sarah. What's on your mind?" "I love what we've created here, Jack. But sometimes I can't shake the feeling that there's more I can do. I want to inspire people beyond just this space," she admitted, her voice tinged with longing. Jack nodded, understanding her aspirations. "You've already inspired so many. Perhaps it's time to think bigger. What about hosting a community cooking class? You could teach others your recipes and stories, allowing them to experience your journey firsthand." The idea sparked excitement within her. "That's a wonderful thought. I could share my baking techniques and the stories behind each dish. It would create a sense of community around food, just like we've done with Tales and Treats." "Exactly. And who knows, it could lead to more opportunities for your bakery, like catering events or collaborating with local schools," Jack suggested, his enthusiasm infectious. With Jack's encouragement, Sarah set to work planning the first cooking class. She envisioned a cozy atmosphere where participants could gather around her kitchen, sharing laughter and stories while learning the art of baking. As the day approached, Sarah felt both excited and anxious. What if people didn't show up? What if they didn't enjoy the experience? But then she reminded herself of the love and support that had always surrounded her. This was about more than just baking. It was about building connections and sharing her passion. She remembered Jack's words about pursuing dreams and felt that she had done just that. It wasn't merely about baking. It was about nurturing relationships and uplifting those around her. As she settled into bed that night, she glanced around her cozy apartment, filled with reminders of her journey, the apron James had made, the recipes she had crafted, and the love that surrounded her. The future held endless possibilities, and she was ready to embrace every single one. With the support of her community, her son, and the unwavering belief that had propelled her forward, she knew she could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Sarah's bakery was just the beginning, a stepping stone into a world filled with creativity, connection, and love. She had transformed her dreams into reality, and now she was ready to see where the journey would take her next. On the day of the class, Sarah prepared the kitchen, setting up workstations with ingredients laid out neatly. As participants began to arrive, she greeted each one with a smile, inviting them to share their names and why they were there. "Hi, I'm Lily. I've always wanted to learn how to bake, but I'm a bit scared of the oven," a young woman said shyly, her eyes darting around the room. "I'm Tom, and I just want to impress my wife with some homemade cookies," another participant chimed in, laughter bubbling in the group. As the class got underway, Sarah guided them through the process of making her signature cupcakes. The kitchen filled with the sounds of laughter, the clinking of bowls, and the delightful aroma of batter being mixed. "Don't forget to add a pinch of love," Sarah encouraged as she moved from station to station, offering tips and sharing her own baking stories. Each participant quickly warmed up, revealing their own aspirations and fears, creating a rich atmosphere of camaraderie. As they decorated their cupcakes, the laughter intensified, and the air was filled with joy. "Look at mine," Lily exclaimed, holding up her creation, a colorful explosion of frosting and sprinkles. "That's amazing. I love your creativity," Sarah replied, beaming with pride. The class flew by, And by the time they sat down to taste their creations, a sense of fulfillment washed over Sarah. They savored the cupcakes, each bite a testament to their hard work and newfound skills. "This is the best cupcake I've ever tasted," Tom declared, taking another generous bite. As the class wrapped up, participants lingered, exchanging phone numbers and plans for future gatherings. Sarah felt a surge of joy as she witnessed the connections forming right before her eyes. This was exactly what she had hoped for, a space where people could come together, learn, and support each other. As everyone left, Sarah couldn't help but smile. She realized that these cooking classes were just the beginning of a new chapter for her bakery. The ripple effects of her passion were reaching far beyond her expectations, touching lives and fostering community in ways she had never imagined. In the following weeks, she scheduled more classes, each one bringing in new faces and returning friends. Her bakery became a hub for creativity, filled with laughter, stories, and shared experiences. Sarah felt invigorated as she watched people grow more confident in their skills, transforming from shy beginners into enthusiastic bakers. One evening, as Sarah was cleaning up after another successful class, she received a call from a local news station. They had heard about her bakery's impact on the community and wanted to feature her in a segment about local entrepreneurs. Overjoyed yet nervous, Sarah agreed, knowing this could be a fantastic opportunity to share her story and the bakery's mission. When the day of the interview arrived, she prepared herself as best as she could. Her heart raced as the camera crew set up. And soon enough, she found herself seated across from a reporter, lights shining brightly. "Sarah, can you tell us about the journey that led you to open your bakery?" the reporter asked, her tone warm and inviting. Taking a deep breath, Sarah recounted her story, from the challenges she had faced to the support she had received from her community. As she spoke about her passion for baking and the importance of connection, she felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. "You've created such a vibrant community around your bakery. What's next for you?" the reporter inquired. Sarah smiled, her excitement bubbling to the surface. "I want to keep expanding our offerings, more cooking classes, maybe even partnering with local schools to teach kids the joy of baking. My goal is to inspire as many people as I can through food and stories." When the interview aired, the response was overwhelming. Viewers reached out, wanting to attend her classes, collaborate, and support her bakery. Orders poured in, and Sarah felt a rush of gratitude as she saw her vision coming to life in ways she had only dreamed of. As she continued to grow her bakery, Sarah also focused on giving back. She organized charity events, donating portions of her profits to local causes and providing baked goods for shelters and community gatherings. One particularly special event was a bake sale to support a local youth program. Sarah enlisted her baking class participants to help create an array of treats, each one lovingly crafted. The event was a success, raising funds and bringing the community together for a great cause. That evening, as Sarah reflected on the event, she felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. Her bakery was no longer just a business. It had become a beacon of hope and connection.